Hello and welcome back to the Art of Waking podcast with Dinan Sarah. That is me. And I am so excited to introduce you to this wonderful woman who is so masterfully impactful to me and many others. And I don't even think she understands how deeply impactful she is. But I want to introduce my sister friend to you. This is Shehera MOCELLIN. Shehera is an ascension teacher and a spiritual guide, and she runs ongoing intertransformational programs, events, and international retreats to support both men and women in awakening to their full potential through the healing center that she founded, Anahata Holistic Healing. As a transformational coach, energy and sound healer, Kundalini Yoga and meditation teacher, Shehera uses a heart-centered, integrative approach, combining the mystical arts, nature's intelligence, and sacred ancient wisdoms to help her clients achieve health, inner peace, and abundance. Shehera has devoted her life to service, prayer, and to bringing awareness to the untapped energy and spiritual powers that lie dormant within each person. She is humbly of service in each step of the healing journey. And I am just so excited to welcome Shehera to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Sister, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so humbled and I'm so
I don't,
honored.
if, listen, if you are listening to us and not watching the podcast, you might want to turn it off and go find the video because Shehera is glowing.
Oh my
And by
goodness.
glowing, I mean glowing. This woman is seriously like an embodiment of what she's a walking sun.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I
Thank
used to
you.
get that compliment sometimes, like, oh my God, you walked in, it's like the sun walked in. And I had never
I'm so
experienced that
honored.
until you, where I was
Oh
like,
my
holy
goodness.
shit.
You make me cry. I'm so humble. Thank you so much.
When her face popped up on the video, like I started to tear up because you're just a walking picture of embodiment in a way that is so palpable.
Whatever you see is a direct reflection of you. You know that, right? You know how I feel about you and
Yes,
how much
and I
reverence and
love
love
you.
I have for you. So this is just us mutually meeting and shining our lights together. So
Yes,
thank you. Thank
you're
you. Because I
welcome.
see
Oh my
you.
God,
I
you're
see
welcome.
you just as brightly and just as beautifully. My gosh.
Thank you. Thank you. But Shahara, tell the people about your work in the world. Now that bio was just a glimpse of her power. I've been in her Kundalini yoga class. I have
Mm,
experienced sound healing. And full disclosure, I was in Greece with this woman. This is where I met her. And
yes.
like, first of all, to just have the strength and the courage to travel to Greece with your bowls to
That's true,
swim
right?
through caves, swimming through sea caves.
Yes.
This woman is swimming and holding the bowl up.
These precious crystal bowls behind me.
Yes,
Yes, I was.
please tell
I
us
just
about your
knew.
work.
Yeah, it'd be my honor. Well, thank you so much for that very kind introduction. Thank you so much. So honored to be here. I would say if I were to just wrap it up in one nutshell, is just that I live to help people realize their magic. Um, I have gone through a lot in my own life and my own healing journey, and I have been called to share what I've learned and the tools that I have been able to be blessed with on this human journey and to just share it. I would say today, as I stand in probably the last year and a half of my life, my greatest joy has been working with women,
Mm.
specifically women, really helping them activate and realize their full potential, because the future is female, right? We all know that. The fate
Yes.
of humanity lies in the heart of the divine feminine, the sacredness of the divine feminine. And there's so much healing that needs to be done on an intergenerational level, on a dimensional level, on, past lives level. And of course, as we live through this day and age, still having to fight for our rights and really being able to step into our powers, to be able to share our gifts and our medicine to the world. So I'm just really, truly passionate about uncovering the sacred feminine knowledge and the mysteries and just sharing them as it's been suppressed for eons. And so it's time. The time is now. We said the time is now to really uncover the secrets of the divine feminine essence and mysteries, and to awaken the feminine, but not just for women, also for men. Really, the divine feminine ways is being brought online right now by so many light workers and way showers and leaders. And
Yes.
it's all about coming to balance, coming to harmony, and just becoming a little bit more Mother Earth centric, right? And
Mm-hmm.
connecting to the wisdom of Gaia, connecting to the wisdom of this beautiful world that we live in, and coming into alignment and balance with each other and with the greater cosmic order of the world. And I think all of that lies in the feminine energy. So whether you're male or female, but I do think that the work right now has to be done with the divine feminine to really help bring her online. And so that's what I've been devoting my life to, really healing myself first and foremost,
Yes.
just
Yes.
really I'm from Iran. I'm sure you know what's happening in Iran right now, right?
Yes.
They are serving to liberate me. I lived through the revolution of Iran, but I didn't have the voice. I didn't have the means to be able to stand up, and so they're liberating me. And so I just really feel that it's my time to give back and to really share what I have learned to step into my powers. And we can talk in a little bit as well, how I was in a corporate world for 20 some years,
Yes.
and how I made the shift into something that was more
How? How
aligned.
did you do that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we can get into it. When I first began my journey as a very young teen, I knew I was called to be of service. As a very young teenager, I knew that I needed to do something that had to do with the healing world. At the
Mhm.
time there were no healers, right? This is like what 20 30 years ago now, maybe a
Mhm.
little bit more. There were no healers. I didn't know what healers were, but there
Mhm.
were doctors, there were vets, things that I, like tapped into. And, I just didn't have the smarts to become a doctor, or at least I didn't think I did. But it also didn't really resonate with me. So I went on to
Mm.
study psychology, which I
Mm.
thought, if I could change one person's life on this, journey called life, I would have paid my due diligence. I'm good.
Mhm.
And so I went on to study psychology. I was all but dissertation, and I dropped out because this is a lot of years of study, by the way.
Yeah.
And I dropped out because I felt like the theoretical approach to psychology didn't really resonate with me. It was one of those things where they just wanted you to acquire clients, keep them
Yeah.
hooked on you.
Yes.
It wasn't empowering back to the clients. And so
That
I
part. Yes.
I was writing my dissertation at the time on the mind's ability to be able to heal the body with yoga, visualization, and meditation. And I had never done any of those things. I just read a book and I read an article, and I was like, that sounds like magic. I want to do that. I want to write about that. I
Wow.
want to learn about that. And so, I was so disheartened that I left school and I moved to LA from San Francisco. I moved to LA, and I was like, I'll either become a fashion designer or an actress. And thank God somebody saved me and and put me in the fashion world. And
Mhm.
I started out as, an assistant, really nothing, to assistant designer. And then later I actually found that I had a niche for sales. If I loved something, I could sell it. And I just really wanted to get ahead in my life. I was making $2,000 a month being an assistant designer. I was working a bartending job. I was just struggling, man. I
Mm.
was just suffering. And so for like 2.5 years of doing that, I moved myself up into sales just to be able to have like comfort of life and living and not being sick
Yeah.
and dead and not all of those things. And so I like excelled so well in sales, in fashion. I went on to become VP of sales of a couple different
Mm.
major companies. But, as time went on, I was like, yes, this is awesome. I'm making a lot of money, yet I feel unfulfilled. There's
That
something
part.
within me that just was not being filled. The money was
Mm,
great, the travel was fun, the, interactions were glamorous, tiring as well. And as time went on, some of these companies, I had done so much to grow them from nothing into multi-million dollar companies, and you become as good as your number the day before. And that just started
mm,
to tax on my nervous system, on, just my ability to be able to cope. I didn't have the mechanisms to cope with such a high demanding job. The more money you were making, the more demanding the job was, the more they wanted from you. And so
yes.
you were just a slave to another system.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, kept ending up in emergency rooms with like symptoms of heart attack because I was
Oh,
just so
wow.
stressed out. I
Yeah.
was so stressed out. I didn't know how to cope. I didn't have yoga, meditation, all those things. So lo and behold, they kept telling me, it's just anxiety. You need to breathe. You need to do yoga. You need to do meditation. I was like, oh yeah, the thing that I was writing my dissertation about. Maybe I should check that out. And so, that began my healing
I
journey.
freaking love
And
that. I love that. I'm sorry. This guys still have to hold it. It's like, yeah, you remember that? That is such this path. It's like
yes.
you get the little sprinkle, and it's like, oh, maybe you'll pick it up later. Maybe you'll pick it up
Yeah.
now.
And
But
I just feel now like God was leading me and I was not listening
mm.
at all. Like I was like, "Oh yeah, this looks fun. This looks great," but not really embodying it, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yes.
And so it wasn't until I was buckled down on my knees and I had to really find alternative ways of taking care of myself that I began my healing journey and coming back to center and finding my core and finding my purpose and my true north once again and why I was here on earth. You start to ask yourself these questions at some point in your life. Is it just about the money? Is it just about the nice car? What is this all
Right.
about? There has to be
Right.
something greater than all of these things. And that is that is a question that oftentimes leads you to your greatest gift, to your greatest joy, to your greatest, medicine that you have to
Yes.
offer, right? So
That part. Yes.
that's what it was for me. And when I started the healing journey, I began to heal. I was like, oh, I have to share this with other people. So that there's like that teacher archetype that
Yes.
got activated in me, that healer archetype that got activated in me, that remembrance of like, yeah, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. This is,
Yes.
like it's not psychology, but it's so much better.
Yes. Yes.
Right? It's so much better, so much more all encompassing. It's so much more, comprehensive and so rooted in ancient ways of us healing ourselves. And
Yes.
so, yeah, as I began to heal, I was really, really called to share it. And so I began to study everything that I knew about healing modalities, including sound, including Kundalini Yoga,
Yes.
energy healing modalities. And so it's been about, I would say 12 to 13 years of, diving really, really deep
Yes.
into ancient mystery studies as well as healing modalities and sound, which is
Mm-hmm.
one of my biggest passions as well. Um, to be of service and to share these medicines to be able to help people come back to their own centers. And I always say to them, you know, all that I'm doing is providing space for you to realize your own healer within. So, all that I'm doing is activating the healer within you. You are your own healer, you are your own guru. And all that I do is just provide a little bit of ignition for you to be able to remember. And I've had that, in my life. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's really my deepest honor to be able to serve in that way. And so I do that through many different modalities that I practice, but specifically, I have several programs to work with women and men as well
Mm-hmm.
to really up level and monetize their gifts.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really the biggest drawback for women to step into their mastery as healers, as medicine women, as way showers, as leaders of the new age, knowing their worth, knowing their gifts, um,
Yes.
and just really showing up and being the change that we need to see in this world, right? That we're all co creating together, because nothing that we want on the external, right, can be created unless we embody the codes, the
That
frequency, the
part.
internal
Yes.
capacity to really
Yes.
be able to hold that energy of that which we seek. Right.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
all about embodiment. So balancing the nervous system, activating the 10 bodies, and increasing your light quotient so
Hmm.
that you can radiate that who you are. You can magnetize things to you. And I really believe that the way of the divine feminine um, is to sit and receive like a queen, right? Like the image that I get. Like I'm
Yes.
like, so many women are on overdrive or on their masculine because they have to, right? We've all had to. I've been there. I've been so in my masculine,
Hmm.
and in that masculine, all that we do is we drain our adrenals, we
Yes.
drain our energy and our life force,
Yes.
right? And hustle and chase. Yet the divine feminine is all about just embodying everything,
Mm.
radiating, and then magnetizing everything to you. I just visualize like a beautiful queen sitting and like everybody just bringing her things. So that's that's the
Yes.
vision that I have, for myself and for all women out there, to get out of hustle, to get out of chase, and to really be in the flow, in their intuition, in their heart, in the divine wisdom that is within them.
Hmm.
um, because I truly feel that we have everything that we need within ourselves to heal and thrive.
Hmm.
um, and I just provide the space, a little bit of guidance and a little spark to be able to remember to live out your highest calling.
Yes.
And
And
so,
my
yeah.
work in the world is all about healers, right? Healing the healer, right?
Mhm.
And with you, it's such a beautiful thing when you can witness a healer that has the ability to hold the space for your potential
Thank you.
and not rail against your present.
Hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's such a beautiful thing, like just to witness someone who has that ability of embodiment. It's just
So
lovely.
kind.
It,
Thank
I mean, it just really is.
you.
It's
Well,
really
I practice
lovely.
what I preach, right? And I
That
think that's
part,
part of it.
that part. How did you get to that space to where you are so relaxed in who you are? And this is like one thing
It
that's a
took
bigger
work.
conversation, right?
It took
Because
work.
I remember I was in Amsterdam and I took my daughter to go see Elizabeth Gilbert speak. And one of the main things that she said was she wanted to become what she felt was an endangered species because she'd never seen it. And that was a relaxed woman.
Mm,
And ever since I heard her say that, I looked for them, right? I look for that, like for that woman that has embodied herself so deeply. She knows who she is and she knows who she's not. She knows who you are and she knows who you're not. And she's completely content with that because it's okay, regardless of where you are. She's okay to meet you in that place. Like,
yeah.
could you see that for yourself or did you just arrive there? Like, wow, I'm here.
I did not arrive here. It was work, man. I have to tell you. It really was. I mean, there was a moment, obviously, probably in the last, 4 or 5 years where I was like, okay, I'm finally becoming her, right? So I
Mhm.
did have a vision of her. I did have a vision of what I wanted my life to be like and what I wanted to feel and how I wanted to be embodied. And you know, that there is a point where you're like, Ah, okay, it's coming together, but I feel like it's still a lifelong journey. I don't think it's ever a point where you're like, oh, I've arrived, the work is done, because the work
Yeah.
is forever, right?
Well, can
But
you
I
talk
think,
to that as well? And I mean, we're kind of dancing here a bit,
yeah,
but I think that's healthy. Uh, when you are in that space, and it's the dance between who you are and who you this person out there, and to like really understand that it's not an overnight process. Like how do you put that with to your clients where it's like
yeah.
it's a journey?
Well, I just say be gentle with yourself and be patient with yourself and the world because, um, it the awakening process is a journey in itself. They always say that when you know all that you need to know, when the moment of enlightenment is a moment that you're actually supposed to say goodbye to this world and move on, right?
Yeah.
This life, this journey is about coming to your fullness, coming to your own, understanding your light and the wisdom that is contained within you. And when you know everything there is to know, it's time to go back and become light. So enjoy the journey, I say, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy becoming, enjoy being, and allow and surrender into the fullness of life because it is the ups and downs. It is the contrast between night and day, the polarities that we experience in our life that makes this life so rich, right? When we're light, all we experience is light. That's why
Yeah.
we chose to be embodied here as a human being and to have this rich experience of this beautiful life,
Yeah.
to have all these emotions. In order to feel joy, you need to feel sadness. In order to feel, you know, um, any kind of emotion, you need to have the contrast. So, um, yeah, I would say just be patient and allow
Mm.
the unfolding.
Allow the unfolding.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
beautiful. And healing, is not linear. It takes time, and there is a compounding effect of, the societal conditioning, spanning back to lifetimes, even to Claire. And it's not happening on this timeline as we want it to. There's so many different layers to it. And if there's something that really needs to be healed, I would say first and foremost, just be aware of what
Yes.
needs to be healed, right? Like for me, it
Mhm.
was very clear. Like I was out of balance. I did not know how to control my nervous system. I did not
Mhm.
know how to breathe. I mean, something as simple as
Mm.
breathing. I, I,
Yes.
s- I s- I still have to be conscious about breathing. Like
Yes.
breathing, I would say, is one of the most important things that we can learn as human beings.
Mm.
And you think that it's so instinctual. Oh, I breathe. No, we don't breathe. We all breathe
Mhm.
shallow and we all breathe super, super fast. And what that does is, it puts us into the sympathetic nervous system at all times.
Yes.
And there's so much wisdom that comes through breathing alone. When you're able to slow down the breath, the mind begins to shut off and the heart all of a sudden activates, right?
Yeah.
And the slower the breath, the more the body begins to heal because we are shutting down the amygdala, which is the fight, flight, syndrome that we all
Mhm.
have within us, and we move into a more vulnerable state of being. That's the parasympathetic nervous system. That's where love comes through, right? If you are
Mhm.
not in parasympathetic nervous system, you cannot be in love. You cannot enjoy life. Because why? You're in fear, right? Thousands of years of
Yeah.
conditioning to be in survival mode. Think about us as gatherers, right? That's like what our nervous system is made to constantly activate. And especially as we live in this fast-paced world,
Mhm.
um, our nervous system is not taught to relax and slow down. And so, what we end up doing is we're constantly thinking that there is a saber-toothed tiger behind us,
Yes.
right? That's the ancestry. Like that's
Yes.
what's in our DNA. And so
The
think
internet
about
comment turned into the saber-toothed tiger.
exactly. But just think about that. Like when you are in that state, you can't close your eyes long enough to go into meditation to go within because you're
Mm,
constantly worried about something behind you, right?
right,
Whether that's just that
right,
metaphorical saber-toothed tiger or like the thousands of things that you have to do in order to
right.
survive,
Yes.
right? So, as you begin to engage the breath and slow down the breath, do any type of healing yogic modality or sound healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now your nervous system comes to balance. Now you begin to
Mm.
slow everything down. You're no longer afraid of the saber-toothed tiger in the bushes, and you're able to close your eyes and go within. And that's where the storehouse of the mysteries lie.
Yes.
That is your gift. That's the medicine. Everybody thinks like, oh, we're leaving the body. No, actually, you're going
Mm.
within. You're
Mm-hmm.
going within. And this, within has so many layers. And you can journey here for hundreds of years and still not know the depth and the miracle
Yes.
of who you are.
Yes.
Right? And that's the beauty of this, journey of life that we're all on.
Yes. Oh, Shehera, I swear, it's just, I love speaking, first of all, to you, but to an embodied human
Thank you.
that is so allowing. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thank you so much. And you know what? I have to say, I am human as well, and I struggle with all the same things. I struggle with my daily practice. I struggle with,
Mm-hmm.
really, but I see the difference. I see the
Yes.
difference in myself. The days that I do my work, I
Mm-hmm.
have my breath work on, I have my meditation, I have my yoga. Um, I am such a different person.
Yes.
And beyond being a different person, I attract and magnetize things in my life.
That part.
That
Because
part. I think
then,
that's the most important part. Exactly, because then it's like the
well, it goes back
embodiment.
to what you were saying. Like you become the queen that just receives. And it's like, oh, thank
Yes.
you. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, appreciate
You
that. You know what I mean?
magnetize. You have the universe has no choice but to actually deliver to you.
I like that. I like it.
That's how it
Universe, you
works.
have no choice. You have no choice. Thank you. I appreciate, I receive. Oh,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Oh, that
100%.
feels good. Like that
Mhm.
feels yummy and juicy. And it feels like there's a place to go, you know?
And where
Like
do
there's
they teach you
movement
this?
in it.
And where do they teach you this in schools? Right?
That part.
There's some places that are teaching, mindfulness and meditation now, but it's select. It's very select, and I just, I feel that everybody needs it, and especially as we are, really becoming much more of a fast-paced society
Yes.
and don't have time. We need to actually make more time for
Yes.
it.
Well, we're taught to be reactionary.
Yeah.
It's the how are you going to react to this? How are you going? What are you going to say? What? How are you going to respond to them? Instead of like, wait a second, that actually didn't have anything to do with me. I bless you. I hope you
Yeah.
feel better, and you move on. And it's not even a situation that you have to respond to because energetically you've already ascertained the situation. Like
Mm-hmm.
from that perspective. And I completely agree with you on like this has to be a way of just life. It's a part of who we are. This knowledge of self, this knowing that we have the privilege and the ability to go within. And
Yes.
when we do the magical things that we find about ourselves, right? It's like know thyself. It's the biggest piece of things. But I have to ask you, how did you get into sound healing? So we
Oh,
know,
okay.
right?
So
Yoga and meditation, like where
and I would have to say the sound is one of the strongest medicines, by the way. And
yes.
I think that, and I'll share with you my story in just a moment, but I really do want to share this in that being a meditation teacher as well as a sound healer, I see the difference in my clients when they are surrounded by sound or
Mm,
when they are asked to do a meditation. There's
mm.
so much resistance to meditation, and I think that's just natural for most people. Whereas with sound, you can't resist it. You automatically write the sound current and go and connect to, the sound current to the higher realms or inner realms, I should say,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And so that's when the shift happens because there is so little resistance between sound and us. Whereas with meditation is work. Meditation
Yes.
is dirty business. You're bringing up things that, after some time, I would say, of doing meditation, maybe like, for a month every day, 20, 30 minutes a day, you have cleared out the gunk to actually be able to really sit in the bliss of meditation. So some people just can't get there. It takes
Yeah.
them, a really long time to get there, or they never dive deep enough to be able to get there. But once you're there, meditation is absolutely incredibly powerful. With
Mhm.
sound, it's such a beautiful, easy entry into this and bypassing, that part of the mind that keeps you stuck in that space. So sound, the way that I came upon it was maybe a little over 10 years ago now. I went to Kauai with
Mm.
a soul sister, and she introduced me to her healer, and we stayed in her place. She had Airbnb, and she also did all of these beautiful healing modalities between past life regression and energy healing and also sound healing. And the sound healing, I had never heard of it, but all I saw was I walked into her room and she had 50 of these beautiful alchemy bowls
Wow.
all laid out in her room. And she was like, well, this is the experience of sound healing. I'm like, sign me up for that. Um, and so I laid on her table and she began to play the bowls on me and over me, on me. And I would have to tell you that the very first chime of the very first bowl, I began to sob uncontrollably.
Mm.
It was like lifetimes of pain, of just, like things that I had stored up in my body was just being released. I didn't even know why I was crying. But the
Wow.
sound was just such a beautiful remembrance, such a beautiful memory that had awakened within me. And, it was, and then for many, many months after that, after I went home, the sound was haunting me. I kept hearing the crystal bowls play.
Mm.
And so I had to contact her and be like, how do I get my hand on one of these bowls? They're in my dreams. I hear them. And so she's like, you're in luck. I'm a distributor. I can help you. And at the time, I had already began working with clients. Um, and what I recognize is that a lot of the clients that were coming to me were these type A personality women that were overworked, exhausted in their masculine drive and in
Mhm.
super bad relationships, and they had overextended solar plexus. So I was like, well, I want my first bowl
Mm.
to be an E, working with the solar plexus because it's for to heal my clients. And
Mhm.
so lo and behold, I started working with the E bowl and started seeing shifts in them. They started to really connect with, the work and seeing shifts in their lives. But as time
Mhm.
went on, I realized that the bull had not come to heal my clients. The bull had come to heal me. I was that overworked, exhausted, type A, masculine, feminine that needed to come
Mm.
into balance. And my clients were just a reflection of who I was. And they were here to teach me, they were
Mm.
here to show me, right? And this is how this life works. We're all beautiful mirrors and reflections of each other. And so we're all walking each other home, as Ram Dass says. And so, then my journey with sound began. I was like, well, okay, I have clients with heart problem, like grief issues. I have clients that want to open up the third eye, and all of it is me, obviously, right? And so and so, of course, I, went on to have a set of seven. I met my now husband, who was a sound healer, who, was like, maybe we should do sound healings together. And I was like, well, that sounds fun. And
Divine
I
purpose
knew
partner,
nothing.
just
I knew nothing about sound, but I was so drawn to it, right? I shouldn't say I knew nothing about sound. As a young teenager, I was a progressive house and trance DJ. So I
hey,
was always, attracted to music.
hey,
I had my first awakening on the dance floor at a rave, my spiritual awakening. That's where it was. It was through music. So
righteous.
sound, music is all the same thing. It's a remembrance, and it's this
Mhm.
higher frequency and vibration that it's just palpable. You feel it. You feel it in your body, and it helps you on this human journey. And so
Hmm.
it's a tool. It's a tool for awakening, and it's a tool for coming back to center and also going home, right? This remembrance of your true essence and who you truly are. So it's beautiful medicine. I call it medicine for the soul. And each of these sound bowls that are behind me are um, with a base of quartz crystal, but additional gemstones, precious and semi precious, and metals, semi precious and precious, as well as earth elements and divine avatar energies, such as Mary Magdalene frequency or Saint Germain frequency, and so on. So they're really, really beautiful and transformational, not only in the sound, but also in the qualities and the multidimensionality of how they heal.
Well, they're next level. They
They
really are
really
next
are.
level.
I know.
I
I
mean,
know. It's
from
like
playing,
technology.
the bowl that, I would find in, the shop, a local shop, versus like, and now mind you, the magical setting, like completely
In
blew it
Greece.
out of the water. But like we're in Greece and we've swam, climbed, fallen into this sea cave, and we're all like standing around each other and well hovering around each other because we're in the water and on
Yeah.
rocks and all kinds of stuff.
Slippery rocks and me
And
holding this really
Shehera had
precious
floated in
glass
with
bowl.
these bowls, with this bowl, and she's playing it in this cave. Now imagine you've got the echo of the cave. You have the water and the reflection of the sound from the water. If you were in the water, what that was doing. Like you had the bowl on the water at one point.
We did. And then let's not forget, like, we were all toning at the same time. Like, the
Yes.
power of the human voice is so much more powerful than any instrument out there.
Yeah.
So it was all of those combined, and it was just pure magic.
It was
Yeah.
beyond magical,
Yeah.
beyond magical. And like from that point, I'm saving my coins because I need that Lemurian quartz seed bowl that you had. Like
That's right. Yeah, you're
that
so
thing
sweet. I
will be
remember that.
mine.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's the way I was too. I was like, I have to have these bowls. How do I make it happen? And also, for people that are interested in sound and sound healing, I would say whenever you have an intention to do something that is healing for not only yourself but also for the masses, for the world, the universe conspires to help you. So just set the intention out, and you'll find out, a month from now or 2 months from now that you had a return from your taxes that you were not expecting, or someone
Exactly.
gifts you money or whatever. And that's
Exactly.
just how it works. So at first, it just starts with an intention and a deep desire to be able to work with these elevated frequencies, and then everything just kind of falls into place.
Yes,
Yeah.
completely. But Shahara, how can people work with you? How can they find you? And what offerings do you have that they can maybe touch point into?
Yeah, well, it would be my pleasure to share. So I share bi-monthly sound healing journeys with my partner, so both in person and virtually. Sometimes it's virtual and sometimes it's in person. So if you're in LA, I would love to have you join. We often revolve it around new and full moons to harness the energy and the cycles of the moon,
Hmm.
using it as kind of medicine to fuel our lives, with our hopes, with our intentions, because they're portals. The moon
Right,
cycles are portals, right? And so,
right.
um, activating and clearing with intention in a group setting is so powerful. So I share that. That's probably the easiest way to connect with me and
Mhm.
share sound medicine together. And I also offer sound healing courses and workshops, as well as I teach Holy Fire Reiki. So if most of those can be done online as well. And of course, I'm the guardian of the bowls. I have been affectionately called that, so I'll keep it. And so it's just basically a
I
liaison.
love
I
that.
serve as a liaison, space holder, to be able to help you find your soul medicine, your bowl mate, as I call it. And I would have to say that I also, probably the most powerful way of working with me is that I offer a coaching container called Quantum Ascension Mentorship Program, and it's a 3 or 6 month program that offers really tangible opportunity to be able to reprogram the mind body soul complex, but specifically the subconscious mind. And it's really all about making quantum leaps and finding heightened health, happiness, abundance, anything that you want in life, to really be able to work on that embodiment part to
Mhm.
make you aligned, um, uh, frequentially align with what you want to call in, right? And so
Yeah.
I use my medicine wheel of energetic clearings, yoga, meditations, breath work, sound healing, along with specific rites of initiations and transmissions to really reorganize your soul grid and provide a lot more
Mm.
clarity, more willpower, more confidence, more magnetism, so that you can serve your mission and really be able to monetize your gifts and step into your powers. And it's all curated specifically for you. So we
Yeah, I was
sit
going to
and we
say it
talk.
sounds very,
Yeah,
very specific to the person.
it's very specific to the
Perfect.
person. So they definitely get a lot out of it. And lastly, I hold a lot of international retreats, also some domestic ones, and it's always around, a transformational experience around the energetic vortexes around the world. And this year, I'm taking a beautiful group of souls to Bali for the Inner Union
Hmm.
retreat for the 777 portal, and also going back to Egypt once again for the Sacred Union retreat on the 1111 portal Stargate. And so yeah, those,
That's
and
amazing.
I also do individual sessions. So, energy healing, sound healings, anything that they need, I'm happy to be of service.
That's amazing. How can they find you? What's your site?
So
Are
my
you on
site is,
Instagram? All the
yes,
social.
all, who is not these days, right? So my website is Anahata Holistic Healing. So Anahata, the heart chakra,
Mhm.
holistichealing.com. And my Instagram is I am Scheherazade. So Sheherazad.
Perfect. And I will put all of this information
Thank you
in the
so much,
description
dear.
box for wherever you're listening or watching us. And we appreciate you tuning in today and sharing my friend, sister friend, Shehera here, who is, I hope you are as inspired by her as I have been in my
Thank
life.
you so much. Oh my goodness. I'm so inspired by you and all that you share. Thank you so much for having me on. It was an absolute joy to be here with you and your beautiful listeners.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bless. Ah,
Bless.
we'll be back again next week with another guest, but for now, we appreciate you. Again, we've been talking to Shehera MOCELLIN, where you can find her at Anahata Holistic Healing, or I am Scheherazade on Instagram. We thank you for being with us and listening. And again, until next time, same back channel.